Lucia waited in a small detention room, watching the guard step out when a loud clang echoed from deeper in the facility. The sound pulled his attention away, leaving the door slightly open. Lucia moved quickly, slipping through before he returned. The hallway outside was dim and neglected, with peeling paint and buzzing lights. Lucia stayed close to the wall, listening for footsteps. 2 guards passed the corridor ahead, discussing the sudden noise. She ducked behind a cleaning cart until their voices faded, then continued toward the exit signs glowing faintly above the doors. She navigated through a narrow storage corridor, pushing open a rusted metal door and entering a cluttered room filled with crates and tools. Lucia quietly crossed through and found a side door leading outside. Warm night air hit her as she stepped into the yard. Trucks and equipment scattered the area, and a single worker stood near a pickup, loading boxes into the back. When Lucia looked closer, she realized it wasn't a guard, it was Jason. He paused mid-lift when he noticed her. For a moment, neither moved, both unsure of the other's intentions. Lucia approached slowly, keeping her hands visible but her expression guarded. Jason lowered the box, studying her with a mix of caution and curiosity. "Lucia, I need help getting out of here." Jason didn't expect anybody escaping tonight. Lucia watched him carefully, still unsure if he was a danger or an unexpected ally. The yard around them stayed tense and silent, waiting for the next move. Lucia kept her voice low as she stepped closer to Jason. "Lucia, I need out. Help me." Jason studied her for a moment, unsure. Before he could answer, a sharp alarm echoed across the yard. Lights snapped on, sweeping the area. His hesitation vanished. "Jason, all right. Move." He grabbed a nearby crate and pulled it aside, revealing space to hide. Both crouched behind it as guards rushed out of the facility, spreading across the yard. Flashlights crossed the ground just inches from their boots. Lucia kept still, breathing slow, watching guard movements. Jason motioned toward a small maintenance door at the far end of the yard. She nodded. They moved together, timing each dash between shadows. Lucia slipped behind a stack of barrels before a guard turned. Jason followed, guiding her with quick gestures. They reached the maintenance door, and Jason quietly forced it open. Inside, an old service tunnel stretched into darkness. Lucia entered first, scanning ahead. Pipes rattled above as the alarm continued outside. Jason shut the door behind them and led the way deeper underground. The tunnel tightened as they walked. Lucia stayed alert, noticing loose gravel and cracks along the ceiling. "Lucia, watch the top." A section of concrete suddenly dropped, blocking the path behind them. Dust filled the air. Jason steadied himself and looked at her. "Jason, well, no turning back." Lucia stepped forward, brushing debris aside. "Lucia, then we go forward." Both pushed through the narrow opening ahead, forced to trust each other as the tunnel darkened and the path tightened, pulling them deeper into the escape. Lucia and Jason moved quickly through the narrow tunnel. The ground trembled above them as security reinforcements spread across the facility. Dust drifted from the ceiling with every shockwave. A beam cracked ahead and dropped without warning. "Jason, move." They sprinted forward as another section collapsed behind them. Lucia slid under a leaning support bar, rolling to her feet. Jason followed, shaking off debris. A metal pipe fell sideways, blocking the path. Jason grabbed it and pushed with everything he had. "Jason, go. Now." Lucia crouched and crawled beneath the lifted pipe, slipping through the gap. She turned back and helped steady it as Jason squeezed under, both keeping the tunnel from sealing shut. They continued deeper until Lucia spotted a vertical shaft with a utility ladder going up. "Lucia, here." Jason tested the first rung, then climbed fast. Lucia followed close behind, listening to muffled shouts echoing down the tunnel. They reached a square metal hatch. Jason shoved it open, and cool night air rushed in. They emerged behind a line of old dumpsters near an empty street. As they stepped out, a security jeep turned the corner. Its headlights locked onto them instantly. "Jason, run." Lucia sprinted down the sidewalk, weaving between scattered trash bins. The jeep accelerated, tires screeching. Jason vaulted over a short fence and landed beside her. The jeep swerved onto the curb, closing the distance. Lucia led them through a narrow alley, knocking over crates to slow the vehicle. The walls grew tighter, forcing the jeep to stop, but guards jumped out and gave chase on foot. Lucia and Jason pushed forward, the city lights guiding them deeper into the night as the pursuit intensified. Lucia and Jason burst out of the alley with guards right behind them. Lucia vaulted a low fence, landing steady on the other side. Jason followed, sliding over a broken wall as NPCs in the street shouted and stepped back from the chase. A guard yelled for backup, closing distance fast. Jason scanned the area and spotted an old scooter leaning beside a dumpster. Jason, there. Take it. They sprinted toward it. Lucia jumped on first, gripping the handlebars. Jason swung onto the back as guards rounded the corner. Lucia kicked the ignition. The scooter sputtered, coughed, then finally roared to life. Lucia pulled into the alley, speeding past hanging laundry lines and scattered trash. The security jeep tried to follow but scraped against the narrow walls, losing ground. They shot into a tight back street, weaving around parked cars and open doorways. Jason tapped her shoulder. Jason, left. Lucia leaned hard, sliding around the corner as the scooter's engine whined for mercy. A roadblock appeared ahead, 2 patrol cars blocking the street. Lucia, not going through that. She veered into a side gap leading straight into a crowded market. Vendors shouted as they weaved through the stalls. Crates of fruit split open behind them. Lucia dodged a cart rolling across the path, leaning the scooter so low Jason nearly touched the ground. The jeep circled to cut them off, but the tight layout gave Lucia the advantage. She slipped between stands and pushed deeper into the twisting market lanes, leaving confusion and shouting NPCs behind. The chase carried them into another alley, the city lights flashing off puddles as they sped toward the next escape route. Lucia slowed the scooter behind a laundromat, its engine wheezing as she parked it between 2 dumpsters. Jason jumped off and checked the street. Jason, this way. They slipped into a narrow alley, moving past flickering lights and stacked crates. Lucia stayed close as Jason guided her through a hidden gap behind a rusted gate. A small building sat tucked between taller structures, quiet, forgotten. He pushed the door open. The safe house was cramped but organized, maps pinned to the walls, a toolbox on a desk, and a worn radio resting beside scattered notes. Lucia walked in, studying the room with sharp curiosity. She traced a finger along a marked map. Lucia, you used this before? Jason, only when things got rough. Lucia inspected a set of old lockpicks, then a torn photo tucked under a radio. Jason noticed but said nothing. For a moment, the tension eased. They shared short pieces of their past. Lucia, didn't think I'd meet someone running from trouble like me. Jason, seems we've had similar days. The radio crackled suddenly. A coded message broke through the static, short pulses, then a voice. Radio voice, search teams expanding perimeter. Suspects believed nearby. Lucia's eyes sharpened. Lucia, they're closing in. Jason grabbed a small bag of tools and maps. Jason, then we move before they lock this area down. Lucia stepped toward the door, ready. The safe house had given them a moment to breathe, but now it pushed them into the next move. Lucia moved through the safe house quickly, opening drawers and checking shelves. Jason searched the desk, pushing aside old notes until he found a small handheld tracker with a cracked screen. Its light blinked weakly, pointing toward a distant drop point. Lucia, someone left that for a reason. Could be supplies. Jason studied the flickering arrow. Jason, or trouble. But we need something. Let's check it. They packed what they could, maps, a flashlight, a few tools. Lucia tucked the tracker into her pocket while Jason checked the door. Jason, we move quiet. They're close. They slipped into the alley behind the safe house. The neighborhood was tense, streets silent except for the distant hum of engines. Lucia noticed the soft buzz of a patrol drone overhead. Its red sensor light swept across rooftops. They kept to the shadows, hugging the walls and ducking under balconies. The drone drifted closer, its spotlight scanning the pavement. Lucia pulled Jason behind a stack of cardboard boxes just as the light passed inches from them. Jason, too tight out here. Lucia, then we stay low and keep moving. They continued through back routes, stepping over broken fences and cutting between yards. Every distant siren pushed them faster. The tracker beeped again, pointing them deeper into the city. With each step, the sense grew stronger, they were heading toward something important, and whatever waited at that drop point could shape their next move. Together, they disappeared into the night. The tracker's weak signal pulled Lucia and Jason toward the waterfront. Fog rolled across the quiet docks, blurring the outlines of stacked crates and shipping containers. Wooden planks creaked under their steps as they moved deeper along the pier. The tracker beeped faster. Before they could investigate, a group of armed men stepped out from behind a container. Their leader raised a hand, signaling the others to surround Lucia and Jason. Leader, You two don't belong here. State your business. Lucia kept her hands visible, her voice steady. Lucia, we're not here for a fight. We followed a tracker. That's all. The men didn't lower their weapons. They moved in, tense and ready. Jason shifted his stance, eyes scanning for an opening. One of the men grabbed Lucia's arm, pushing her back. Jason reacted instantly, blocking the motion and shoving the attacker away. Another swung a baton at Jason, but he caught the wrist and twisted it, forcing the weapon free. A short scuffle broke out. Lucia dodged a swing and used the attacker's momentum to push him into a crate. Jason disarmed the last guard with a quick strike, sending the weapon skidding across the dock. The group stepped back, surprised at how cleanly the two handled themselves. The leader raised his hand to stop any further fighting. Leader, all right, maybe you're not rivals. Show me the tracker. Lucia held it up. The flickering arrow reflected in the fog. The leader studied it, then nodded slowly. Leader, that signal comes from a courier drop. Someone wanted it found. Not by us, maybe by you. Jason exchanged a look with Lucia. Jason, where's it coming from? The leader pointed inland. Leader, old overlook above Vice County. If you want answers, start there. The tension eased. Lucia pocketed the tracker, and she and Jason moved away from the docks, leaving the fog-covered standoff behind and heading toward the next lead. A warm orange glow hangs over Vice County as the sun dips behind the skyline. The overlook sits high above the city, quiet except for distant traffic and waves brushing the rocks far below. Lucia and Jason step out of the tree line, breathing hard from the climb. Lucia slows first. She stands at the edge of the cliff, eyes fixed on the city lights waking up one by one. Jason joins her, brushing dirt from his jacket. Jason, so, the clue checks out. Someone wanted that tracker found. Lucia keeps watching the skyline. Lucia, yeah. And someone wanted me locked up long enough for you to show up with it. A patrol spotlight sweeps across the far ridge. Both lean lower, letting the beam glide past before rising again. Jason studies the tracker chip between his fingers. The small device glints in the dim light. Jason, whoever planted this knew your route. Knew exactly where you'd be. Lucia crosses her arms. Her breathing slows, but her eyes stay sharp. Lucia, then we find them. And we find out why. Jason looks at her, serious, steady. Jason, partners? Lucia hesitates for a beat. The wind pushes her hair back as she turns toward him. Lucia, if we're doing this, we watch each other's backs. No surprises. Jason, deal. They shake once, firm, focused. Another patrol spotlight sweeps closer this time. Both step into the shadows naturally, moving in sync without speaking. The beam fades. They continue walking, side by side. Lucia glances at the city stretching ahead like an electric maze. Lucia, welcome to Vice County. Jason nods toward the distant highways. Jason, let's see who's waiting for us down there. They move down the hill, silhouettes cutting through the brush, heading toward the glowing skyline. The camera would follow behind them, drifting forward as the city lights fill the frame. Their partnership has officially begun.